Hi, my name is Prachi. I'm a designer and the co-founder of This Is It Studio.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm also co-founder of DC Studio
I
and
love how we're talking
also
like we're like in an audio
it's
room
okay, it's
hiding
okay.
ourselves. Yeah, yeah,
Like going back to like recording
yeah,
podcasts, so we'll get
yeah.
more and more comfortable
This
also.
is a very different setup from how it used to be before. Hopefully, you never know because we've deleted everything. We've removed the past.
No proof.
Yeah. So, like, why this podcast? Why do you think why should this exist at the moment?
I mean, I think we have been like talking a lot recently about our work behind the scene on X, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And having a video format is also like much more comfortable. We can go a bit more in depth into what we talk about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
studio, tech, and everything. So
I think generally speaking, for the last couple of months, I think we've been super active on Twitter, on okay, I'm still calling it Twitter, on X. It sounds really bad. On LinkedIn, stuff like that about the process, the behind the scenes, the how it works, what's the studio like, or how is it going, what kind of clients do we have. But I realized that even though it's a much more in depth sort of like explanation of what the studio does, it's still very fragmented.
it is.
So it's not a real timeline, chronological, if not chronological, like sequential documentation of what actually happens at the studio. And I feel that a long form podcast is a much more natural way of sharing the real, like where we talk it out, because even the intro videos
Yeah.
or whatever promotional videos you're going to call it, they're not that natural now, is it?
No.
It's
Yeah,
it's
it's also because we work with very technical companies,
yeah.
technical founders. There is a lot of thing that goes behind the scene that the world of design doesn't really know. So I think being able to talk about it together, like how did we end up also here? I think we'll talk about that today. Makes a lot of sense for people now following our journey with the design and design
Yeah,
for tech.
yeah. I think generally speaking, um, design can mean a lot of things. I think it's like textile design, fashion design, blah blah blah. Both Julia and I are communication designers. So what we really wanted to do was open up this space where we have design forward conversations, which because we are a design studio at the end of the day, design and kind of creative tech studio. But we have people coming here with different lens, right? So because when we design, for example, a pitch deck for a company to raise their series A, seed, series B, series C funding, right? We can talk about it from our perspective. We think this should be the structure. We think less text, more visuals, more data visual. We can say all those things, but what we really want to do is open up this space and invite folks from the other side of the table, perhaps
Yeah.
a VC investor coming in another episode.
Tech founders talking about what they're looking for in fundings themselves. So I think those conversations are also necessary because the design hasn't really entered this tech world until now, or deep tech world, and I think this is a good opportunity to like help also.
Yeah, and I think another thing I want to open up that conversation about is design and business, because design is not art. Like you have to make money and
Has a purpose.
and has a purpose, which is why I even want to, I'm open to inviting some professors from one of the best design schools in India, NID,
Yeah.
NIFT, CEPT, even, to come here, be a part of this conversation, talk about design, not from the lens of the artistic value of design or how clear the communication is, but from the perspective of business and money. And what does that entail when you get that degree, 5 years, what happens then, kind of have those like very
Also
real
this big gap
conversation.
between what's going on in the education system with design and then being a designer in like the actual industry. It's like completely different.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about it also between each others and with other designers, so also maybe a way to bridge that gap. Talk,
So three prime, I would say, reasons for this podcast, this space to exist. Documentation for us because we're selfish as fuck. Um, Space for discussion, where we can really go deep in design, business, tech, all of those kind of things, all the experiments that we've been up to, and invite folks from different industries to talk about design from their lens.
Yeah.
And I think that could be of value to, yeah, like if you're a founder, if you're a investor, looking to get that perspective, what the founders come to you for or whatnot. If you're a professor, if you're a student, if you're a professional. So I think really just this is about design, tech, business kind of combined in
Combined
one
together.
in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah. So how do you think 2025 was for us, not just for us, but from the lens of design and how it has to, because I feel like it was a very significant year,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
I mean, I think we should give an intro also of the studio itself.
Yeah, please, of
2025
course.
has marked like a big turn.
Yeah.
Also in our positioning with like deep tech companies. But the studio is like only 2.5 years old.
Yeah,
So
it
we are
is.
a pretty young studio. We started actually in Denmark. We met together for our masters. We already had this idea of like bringing design in very specific industries in sustainability. We moved to India, and that's where like everything like came together as a
I
studio.
love how you've wrapped up like 3 years into like 30 seconds. We met in Denmark. We
No, just like in the lens of the studio itself,
Yeah.
chronologically in a way, and then in India we started like communication design studio. Like most people actually ask us what it is, what do we do as communication designers.
What do we do?
Exactly. And like the easy answer is most of the time answering we do website design.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
because most people know that everybody has a website today.
Yeah.
Everybody has like digital imprint somewhere. But that's maybe 15%. That's like the
Yeah,
surface
it
layer
is.
of what we do.
Yeah.
But it has also like evolved. We started with that website design and logos and branding. Today we have gone in depth in technical documents for like those deep tech, and that's what 2025 was about. We shifted from like a very generic design studio doing like for like food company or like even like a sustainability company going to like a travel company. And now we are focusing only on the tech companies because there is a lot of scope to do. In 2025, I mean, even in terms of tools in the design, has changed everything.
Everything. I don't even know what I was doing before in 2024.
I know there is like so much talk about AI and what AI is doing, but in the design world, it has really moved a lot of things. And that's what actually has pushed us also to think long term. What's the future of design?
I feel like there are two prime worlds which I noticed in 2025 very vividly. One world of design or tech or whatever that exists outside of Twitter, which is like, I would say, at least 6 months behind
Yeah.
in adapting to new things and whatever's happening. And there's one world which is on Twitter, which is 3 months ahead of what actually you need to be. I feel like depending on where you're placed as a designer, as a student, or as a founder, tech founder, there's no way to get it right because things are changing so fast that even I can't say for sure after 6 months will I be using Figma at all. Like all those kind of things. But those things are very far in advance. Like I feel like just the fact that we do choose to vertically integrate instead of horizontally expand. By that I mean, as a communication designer, you're like you have a superpower. I feel like it's a superpower. Why? Because I can literally sell anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. That's what we discuss all the time.
Yeah.
This table is designed. This mic has been designed. What we
Yeah.
are wearing is also designed. Different categories, but that's what our world is made of.
And I think having general knowledge enough to sell something is great, but having a niche expertise, like for example, for us, both Julia and me, both you and I, have a master's in sustainability, and a lot of people are like, "What?
What does that mean?"
What do you mean? Are you designers anymore? Are you like what doctors or scientists? No, like what it actually fundamentally taught us is the technical terms attached to certain industries which we would have had no idea of before. Like new energy storage, like critical materials, all those kind of things. So that's one technical side of things, and the second is just a perspective on shaping narratives, because you cannot communicate anything if you're not fully engraved in the narrative of what you're selling. And for me, it's like if I'm a design studio that can sell lollipops, and then tomorrow a company that's making spaceship comes to me, you see the problem?
Exactly.
And that's why I do believe that the future is not in horizontal expansion. The future is in pick an industry, pick an area
Yeah.
that interests you as a communication designer, as a designer, and vertically integrate
Yeah.
yourself.
Why do you think we chose deep tech? Do you want to
Why
go
do you
in
think?
depth in that?
I think if I would have not been a designer, I would have wanted to do something in tech because
Yeah.
I'm just flabbergasted by tech.
The
That's the word.
innovation. Yeah.
Yeah. I
True.
remember growing up, like I would literally like almost all the time watch like those tech review videos. I have been watching MKBHD before he became MKBHD.
Yeah.
Like I've been watching his raw like YouTube content. I Justine. Like I grew up with these people. I know who they are. Like I know their
You were
entire
early on the
life.
channel.
I
Yeah.
was I was there, when this happened. So for me, it's like I have a deep fascination to tech because I also believe I'm also, you could call it, a tech optimist or whatever. I believe the future is tech. The future is not,
Yeah.
sorry, but going back to weaving, I don't know.
That's not possible. It's like we also need
No.
to evolve with the world we live in today. And I think like, I mean, I'm biased obviously because I work with like incredible tech companies. We
Yeah.
are lucky
Yeah.
enough to discover some companies before they even exist.
Oh, yeah.
And to like actually go inside like all the thoughts process behind like what has been invented. I think that's why I really love what I do. It's like it's so
Yeah.
incredible. You open a document and you're like, oh wow, so that's actually how it works to filter air. Like this is what goes inside
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Or like just a robot that's capable of doing surgery. This is completely crazy.
I know. It's like communication design. I feel like it's such an opportunity to be a sponge. I feel like it's an opportunity to be a sponge because you can, if you choose to, you can study and integrate into a singular industry
Yeah.
and learn as much as you can. And the more you learn and the more learned you are, the better you get
Yeah.
with your craft. Because I feel that design, when done professionally and not just for fun or in a hobbyist manner, it's a skill. It's a skill. It's a way of approaching things. It's, I would say, like, it's a thought process. It's a skill, and then it's a seeing through the execution bit of it. That's all that it is. It's not an education. I feel like knowledge is something you gain after you start working in
Yeah.
the industry. It's not knowledge. I
Yeah.
feel like it's skills.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And you get better at it as you go on further and further and do it. And 5 websites, 10 websites, 100 websites, and by the 100th website, you can't, I hope you can't be bad.
Yeah.
If you can, if you are, then you maybe need to change your profession. Yeah. Like,
But that's skills. And I think
Yeah.
like we had to see, like we were saying like just like 5 minutes ago, that a lot has changed in the world of design. Not the only space that it has changed, but in the world of design, that a couple of months ago we actually had to sit on the question being like, what is actually communication design? What is actually our role? Because designing a website, this is an outcome. This is not at all communication design. This is just one of the possible outcomes that we can do for someone, right? So we just had to like sit again being like, okay, first of all, design is problem solving. It's not art.
Yeah.
It has a purpose. It's
Yeah.
not here to like leave our imprint
Yeah.
as designer being like,
Yeah.
oh, this is me. This is, people can recognize my work because it's like supposed to be transparent, almost invisible. And then communication design is like almost like a filter. It's like you receive a lot of information, a lot of like things. You are the designer, you need to absorb everything and then understand what to distribute and to who. And that's actually what the job of communication design is.
Yeah.
And then it takes the shape of like a report, a newsletter, website, an app or whatever.
Yeah.
This is what matters. And I feel like in the communication design world and even in the X world of design, it has been forgotten a little bit. We are like putting the tools and the skills a bit before the mean of what we are trying to do.
I think it's also because it's very closely related to marketing.
Yeah.
Because again, marketing is another field altogether that uses communication design to sell. Marketing is a completely different genre of skills altogether. It has completely different parameters attached to it, blah, blah, blah. And I think because design is also seen as something of a B2C, a business to customer, right? You go to a shop, you buy an ice cream, it has this beautiful picture of Alfonso mango, and you're gonna know that it's a mango ice cream. That's what design is at its peak communication form.
Yeah. The
But
simplest
design
form.
is, yeah, exactly. But design is also like, there's, if I have to, let's say, talk to a child or something like that, I want to tell them, listen, that there's 100 apples. What if you take 3 out of it? And then what you do is take a paper and you draw 100 apples, and you take 3 out of it, and that's the most visual
Yeah.
means of communicating to this child that now there's 97
Yeah.
apples. Okay, thank God we're not mathematicians. uh 97 apples left. And that's communication design. It's the same. It's not meant to attract, it's meant to inform.
Yeah, that's what we call data visualization.
Data
We write so much
visualization.
about it on
Yeah.
our socials. That's a very important part of what
Yeah,
we do.
exactly.
Because this is like a very simple example for kids, but sometimes we have to do exactly the same thing from like a very complicated like safety report from like tech companies
Yeah.
for like an investor. We need to like simplify it as much for him in the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah,
And this is so interesting.
I know. So we're kind of like, I know there's like no structure. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. We're kind of like just getting warmed up because it's the first episode. So we want to take a little bit of time and set the base of, let's say, an introduction, or like who we are, what this is going to be about. Of course, we want to talk about design and stuff like that, but we want to talk about the idea of communication design connected to business and tech.
Yep.
And that's an area of niche that we chose to vertically integrate into. And now it's been almost, like almost 2 years, I would say, like a little less than 2 years that we've been kind of like operating.
Existing.
Yeah, this is it, existing. But before that, we already were working together, kind of. Before this is it, we were working together in Denmark. We worked with like Smart Swimwear. We worked
Yeah.
with EU. We worked with like
A couple of different
like government organizations, stuff like that. And during that process, we realized that, because we were talking about sustainability a lot, because that was our masters, but there's many ways to approach it. And at that time, I remember we had many conversations about it, being like, okay, this is nice, to introduce 3D tools and Clo 3D and all those kind of things, but I don't like wasn't exciting. And now sometimes we get on a call with an introduction with a client. Sometimes I forget that I'm on a sales call. like the other day I was talking to someone, like introduction call again for the first time. We spoke to each other, and they were kind of telling me about how they're building robots with like this intuitive neuroscience technology. And I'm like, neuroscience technology? And he's like, basically the way humans are trained is the way we're training these robots. So they don't have just one function.
They
Pick
don't
up an
need you
apple,
to
pick up
make
an
the
apple.
gesture. Yeah.
They teach it's neuroscience, so they learn how to eventually understand that this needs to be picked like this and this needs to be picked like
that.
this. And I'm listening to it, and after a certain point I literally lost track of. And then he was like, so, and I'm like, so what? That was amazing. Like, thank you for telling me about of all that you're doing. And then he's like, so like, we're looking for a website. And I was like, oh no, I completely forgot. And I think that's how I know that we chose the right field, because sometimes I really don't feel like I'm doing a job.
No, I mean, you have a very like conversational like relationship with clients where that's how you
All
learn.
the time.
I
Yeah.
read their like 100 pages reports and I lose myself as much in it, just like
Yeah.
understanding like different materials that affect their actual product.
Yeah.
And just bringing it together at the end and then delivering whatever outcome they need. Sometimes they say they need a website. Sometimes they actually don't need a website.
Yeah.
It's like completely different.
Exactly.
It's like, it's so exciting, so magical when you see it like
Actually
translated.
translate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you an introspection question.
Go on.
Why do you think you're the right person to be the co-founder of This Is It Studio, the one that it is now? I feel like.
Wow, like you're really like putting me on the
I know,
spot right now.
I know. Because, okay, like I feel like it's a huge deal, because, okay, maybe I can say that for you and you can say that for me. So it looks a bit romantic. Um, no, like, I mean, you are quite young, but it like we've had so much work that we've done together, and the kind of depth that you bring to the table in terms of details, like for me, I get blinded by the over picture. Like I have to stay in touch with the overview, because otherwise I lose myself. I will like go into this rabbit hole. But the kind of details that you can bring out with design. So we have this exercise like step 1, step 2, step 3, where we kind of do the whole competitor landscape, blah blah blah, and then we sit with the concept of the person that we're working for. Let's say it's robots that
Yeah.
do neuroscience things. Julia and I sit, and Julia puts out like being like, okay, let's say we're designing a web platform for them. You know what? It should have certain things intelligently shifting from one place to another depending on where the mouse is,
Yeah.
so that it kind of emulates the same neuroscience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to merge. I mean, I would never say that I'm the best or
No.
anything like this. That's not like the podcast for, but I kind of try to merge as much as possible with the actual user of any companies. I try to like become this person. I try to like read the documents through their eyes to be able to like detach like the smallest detail possible to like bring it. That's what we're saying, like you read a lot of information, you come, you absorb, and then you filter it. And this is this filtration that is like coming very easily to me. I can read like 100 pages of reports. I'm capable of highlighting the three important
Yeah,
points
exactly.
for this specific
Yeah.
person, and then three important point for another person. And I think that's just like I can manage detail. I can manage like this kind of like attention, like
Yeah.
really like into it.
Your digestion of micro details and converting and taking note of it as an overview or macro aspect of things is so valuable, and people don't realize how much value it has when it comes to running a design studio, especially for clients that are sometimes so varied, right? Like health tech, preventive diagnostics, space tech, suddenly spaceships and battery materials
Yeah.
and stuff. So you need to go into the depths and corners and
You
details
can't
of
stay in
each
surface.
industry
No.
to be able to produce something worthwhile.
Yeah.
Worthwhile for the actual customer, because my mom is not going to read a report
It
coming out of
doesn't
a space
matter
tech
for
company.
her. It
It
doesn't
doesn't matter
matter.
for her.
She
Who it
might,
matters for
yeah.
is probably someone from ISRO
Yeah,
who's going to read
exactly.
that. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's something that I haven't seen. Even the most senior designers that I've met so far that have been able to achieve that kind of balance. And I think
Thank
that's
you.
something.
That's very nice. Like we have like two completely different approach to it, almost like not opposite, but like they are like super important to like then combine together. Because like even if you go super in details, you need to be able to zoom out, and that is what you do. You
Yeah.
like come with like this like very large picture, the end goal actually of like these companies.
Yeah.
Plus the capabilities of actually not extracting sounds like a bad word, but taking out of like our clients
Yeah,
what
yeah,
needs
yeah.
to be actually
Yeah.
given to us.
Yeah.
You'd like almost feel like what they need to give us that
Yeah.
they sometimes don't know they have to tell us.
I think generally speaking, I'm like sounding like an asshole talking about, I have a good reading of people,
Yeah.
but I don't mean it in a way like I can read your mind.
No.
Like I read it, I mean it in, I mean it in a way that when I speak to someone, I don't feel like I need to push in any direction, because I feel like some people have genuinely a tough time in interacting with like unknown strangers, essentially. That's an intro call, you're getting on a video call with literally, you have no idea
Yeah.
what this person is like. So I kind of judge the room and judge the cadence, right? So is this someone who's going to get into details, or is this someone who has an overview and wants to stick to the overview,
Yeah.
or does this need to be a bit more friendly, or does it need to be a bit more structured and professional, right? So I feel like when you're a co-founder in any capacity, and for me, like, I'm the one who takes clients call and I'm the customer facing founder, you need to read the room extremely well,
Yeah.
and understand who you're speaking to, and that's the only way you ask the right questions. And I think I made a separate post about it on Twitter.
Yeah, I remember.
Asking the right questions for like a design studio owner is like, I would say 70% of the job.
I agree. Because if we're not capable of getting those information, there is nothing behind with the details or like the actual execution that can happen.
Yeah. I believe the brief is a myth. There is no such thing. Where, like, even if I've received a 16-page document with the brief, the competitive landscape from a client, which has happened once in my life, there's no such thing. You have to be able to ask the right questions to get to a cadence where people share things automatically.
Also the brief, it happens sometimes, but like now I think we're at a stage that clients are just coming to us to actually understand what they need to do. They are not like telling us what they need anymore. They're actually asking us what they need to do to go to reach that business goal. And I think that's why like a lot changed in 2025 because of that. Also we like gain this kind of like trust and relationship with our clients.
Yeah.
And your capabilities of like taking something that sounds super unrelated to the conversation and bringing it together with what they are saying and suddenly make them visualize actually what they were trying to say in a different way. I've heard all the time like clients being like, exactly, like almost reading my
Julia, it's
mind.
called ADHD.
But it's it's seen in such a negative way, but it
Yeah,
has like a lot
it's
of
super.
like,
Yeah, like I feel like it's a superpower. Like for me,
yeah.
like I'm able to switch topics, which is why this podcast will be probably very, because I'm the one lead. Like I
And we
have
have
notes
notes.
here on my, and I haven't followed a single sequence since we started recording. So I
Very raw.
apologize. Yeah, but I think like that general confidence around people reading also comes from experience because I'm old.
No, I was wondering. I was wondering. You always had that because
Yeah,
when
I
I
did.
met you, you already had this.
I
It
do.
becomes sharper and sharper,
Yeah.
also because of having the studio. But you had it since the
Yeah,
beginning, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it followed you through your
More or less, you
studies.
have to learn how to trust your instincts and
Yeah.
hone it in, and most of all, really try to not push. I feel like also, like we work with business consultants, they teach us how to do a sales call, for
Yeah.
example, step 1, step 2, step 3. We pay them to teach us that, to never follow it. I don't know how, like,
I hope he will never hear what we're saying.
Rob, I hope you're not watching. But like that's literally what happens. I'm never able to follow a script because I feel like it forces us into a cage, the conversation into a cage.
Yeah.
And I try not to do that, but it's not natural for everyone. And I
Exactly.
feel like there's also people out there who can follow a script through, and actually by the time the intro call is over, they have everything they need to
Yeah.
get started. And I think that's also an incredible way to go about it. And there's no wrong way.
Yeah.
But it also comes from like my own personal experience, right? I have a very diverse background in a capacity. So my background, I'll give you a little bit of my background. Um, I I have been designing almost for 8 years now as a professional. Before that, I was in my bachelor's. Um, so I'm a communication designer by profession. Right off the bat, I didn't even do design for 2 years. I was a filmmaker and photographer for the Tourism Board of India. So I was literally traveling for a job, and my job was documentation. So I went from places to places, documenting certain crafts, noticing the details, but observing the story, noticing which is why I ended up meeting people,
Exactly.
thousands of people, like homestay owners, random backpackers, people who were working with me, architects, all those kind of things, a wide network of people. And that forced me to get out of my comfort zone and learn how to communicate, capture, be silent,
Yeah.
be invisible. Like when I was traveling for a job and I had to photograph like a village, architecture, whatever, if I'm the one drawing attention, I am never
You're not
going to be able
getting
to make,
anything.
yeah. So I think I learned how to be a bit more silent, a bit more in the background, to give space to let things happen naturally. And I
Yeah.
feel like I apply the same philosophy to when we get on client calls.
Yeah.
It's not about me. Like they book the call, it's them, it's their stage.
They have something to say. They
Yeah.
have maybe something to ask.
Exactly. Because my entire curriculum, like CV, is out there. Like that's how they ended up on the call in the first
Yeah.
place. So it's less about me and more about them. So that then I switched to working for a bioscience company. Like I started off as a junior designer. I just tried to learn how to fundamentally design, intuitively design, learn about structure, blah blah blah. And we raised $100 million from Sequoia and other funds. And that kind of catapulted me into this world of science, tech, and design, and how those three fundamental pillars need to come together
Yeah.
to make magic happen, real magic happen. Because you can like spend days and months in an R&D lab,
Yeah.
but if your lab research never sees the face of the light, what are you
it's
going to do with it?
Almost good at nothing. Nobody
Yeah,
knows about it,
exactly.
right?
And I think going from there to working with multiple organizations thereafter, then Denmark, and then working there, and then now running my own studio, I don't feel hesitation in letting a client know that I don't think that's the right way. Like it's not about being rude. It's about them also having confidence that this is not being handled after a year of experience. I promise you, this works like that.
Yeah.
Not in the traditional sense. Sometimes I'll suggest some random things. They'll have to.
Yeah.
It's about convince me or get convinced.
collaboration.
It's about collaboration. It's
Yeah.
about let's listen to each other. Let's do this together.
Yeah, I think that's like recently also you wrote something about like we're both expert of our fields in a way, and if we don't come together to collaborate, there's nothing that will get the light. We can make the
Exactly.
most beautiful communication design, but it has nothing to do with the
Yeah.
company. Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
useless, right?
And you're able to see the other side of things because you have a background in
Yeah,
material
I have
design.
a little bit of a different background.
Yes.
Still in design, but I started with like material research design in my bachelor in France first. I got like super interested in innovation material, in biomaterial. So I like deep dive into like many reports. That's how everything started, in like details of how to create those biomaterials and everything. Which led me to want to know more, much more than that. And Scandinavian countries were like already the place to
Yeah.
go in Europe.
Yeah.
All my research paper were from there. So it was just natural for me to move for my master's there. And master's in sustainability because of biomaterials. That's actually where I ended up in like a multidisciplinary course. So you were there as a communication designer. I was there as a material designer. Other was there for industrial design, and from everywhere around the world. So that was
Yeah.
like a very enriching
Yeah, we kind of joined
experience.
forces, and we had that rich experience for 2 years with working.
Yeah.
Like we saw how industrial design
Yeah.
catapults itself into an actual product and what
Exactly.
the process looks like. So now when we work with a company who has a hardware tech,
Yeah.
again, space tech or
Agri-tech, biotech.
agri-tech, biotech, there's some hardware component
Yeah.
attached to it. I know where that came from,
Yeah.
and that multidisciplinary context helps me understand
Exactly.
that this is how we need to decimate this. This is how we need to deconstruct and reconstruct back again.
Yeah.
So I think all these things, and I think the reason for doing this now, 2026, the podcast, even though we have failed before, just because no, we're not.
It's a different
It was a
kind.
different time. I think 2025 fundamentally shifted how not just This Is It Studio operates, but how design operates as a third arm
Yeah.
to successful businesses.
Yeah.
And
Agree.
I wish I was over exaggerating in a way, but I'm not. I really am not, because the way we've seen tech compress and level into a field,
It's absolutely insane.
it's absolutely insane. And with that happening, clear communication and clear thinking yourself. And I think that's also what happens with good design partners.
Yeah.
And this has happened with us also. We've had some consultants who've made us think. And it happens now sometimes with founders we work with, when we make them think, is that it actually helps you understand what you're doing better.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
When
gives you a
you're like,
different angle on what you're doing.
yeah, when you have to figure out what's going to go in slide 1
Yeah.
versus what's going to go in slide 10, and what's not going to make this 10 slide.
Yes.
It helps you understand, holy shit, I'm actually not in the spaceship business, I'm in the battery business. I might be selling something for a spaceship, but I'm selling a battery for a space.
Yeah.
So that kind of clarity usually comes with positioning, narrative, business, design when it comes together. And I think 2025, even for me, it was new. It blew my mind how many companies finally saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
They finally saw it.
And from a very big age gap,
Oh,
we are
yeah,
having
100%.
legacy company contacting us like a startup that's just started like 2 weeks ago. And that's how you understand how much things are changing when legacy companies are coming, being like, if we want to be there in another 20 years, we have to do something now. And design is the right partner for it right now.
We spoke to another legacy company. They're like, we've one of those like family run businesses, stuff like that. They're like, the only way we'll hit IPO is if we have design as a very fundamental lever. And to hear a legacy company's founder say that, it's absolutely stunning. And I think that only happens when design begins to understand the value of business.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk in numbers.
Technicalities, not being scared
No
of
bullshit
that.
about aesthetic.
Yeah.
Aesthetic is tertiary.
This is the
It's
last
not
part.
primary, it's not secondary, it's tertiary. And I think when that kind of compresses itself together into a very deep understanding of design, business, tech, all these fundamental things come together, and that's what success in 2026 will look like, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I think that's why this podcast is very important. It's like we have learned so much about all of those things in the last year, that it's good to also like give it to like the founders out there, or the designers, even like investors, for them to better understand what the companies are looking for right now.
Exactly.
and just in general for this Is It Studio to become the place for like deep tech
Yeah.
companies to come to.
Exactly, because we were discussing like about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, being like, what's the end goal? Because we were now in the process of expanding. This is it, not just team wise. So we recently made our like very first full time hires.
Yeah.
The core team is growing.
Yeah.
We also have like folks joining us for the graduation project who's here somewhere. Um, and all of that to say that not only is the core team getting stronger and we're expanding very fast, we're also expanding a new layer of this, which we're going to talk about in a separate video. But all of that is happening because we discussed, it's like, what's the end goal? The end goal is to be the global benchmark of design for
deep
deeply
tech.
technical companies.
Yeah.
Simple. This is, we want to be the design partner benchmark for any deep tech company, that tomorrow if you're working, if you're a founder in tech, you would want to get
With us.
you want to get us to design something for you. That's the end goal. And
Yeah.
which is why we want to have this podcast as almost like a resource sort of channel, where we talk about business, we talk about design, we talk about all of that, but we talk about tech and we talk about the connection of all of those things, which we kind of open the how do you say, the threads of behind the scenes and bring value to what you're seeing. So this is not going to be gate kept and only talk about we made this much money or we
No.
made our client this much money. This is about, if you're a founder, what do you need to do? If
Yeah,
you're an
we'll
investor, what do you
use
need to do?
very specific case studies.
Yeah.
With real example from our studio.
Yeah.
This one is not visual. This is just us talking together to introduce it. But we will showcase exactly what has happened for companies we have worked with and how it has happened.
We want to have the same depth of a Lex Friedman or a Rich Roll podcast, but for design and business and tech. Like tomorrow, like a VC fund partner should come here and we will have like a 2 hour conversation about design and tech and how the ecosystem is changing. And that's what we want to do for 2026. And that's hence the podcast.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I guess this is it for today.
This is it for today. This is it
And
for now.
We'll see you in the next one.
We'll see you in the next one. Hopefully a week from now. Okay.
Done.
Cut. Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Holy shit. That was
That was
nice.
like longer than expected.